What is up, guys, and welcome to our brand new series, Mental Recode. Over the past few days, I've had multiple experiences where the same topic kept coming up over and over and over again. And it was the topic of where spirituality in today's age has gone. Now, this is something I rarely talk about, with people and in public in general, is that I'm actually very spiritual, but I'm not one of those people that goes out there saying, spirituality this, spirituality that. But I think it is a very important piece of our lives in order to really dive into our own mind, in order to understand our emotions, in order to understand the experience that we have throughout our lives. And in this week, I've had multiple conversations with friends and other people, as well as a few days ago, we went to Jason Silva's event down in Los Angeles.
One in which you don't go quietly into that good night at the end of the race, but instead you rage and rage and rage against the dying of the light. As Ellen Arrington said, we must never forget we are cosmic revolutionaries, not stooges conscripted to advance a natural order that kills everyone. Having invented the gods, we can turn into them.
Well, the topic came up where how spirituality has become this kind of hype thing. It has become this thing where kind of people will wear it as almost like a job title, oh, I'm a spiritual, guru, grandmaster. And what I always like to make fun of is when people, they haven't really figured themselves out yet, they chart the moon, they collect crystals and all this kind of spiritual foo-foo, where basically we project of what it means to be spiritual, but very few people actually know how to practically apply. And beyond all that, very out there esoteric stuff, very few people, a lot of people nowadays, whether it's through meditation or yoga and all that kind of stuff, try to be spiritual, but there's very little practical guidance. And I've been personally trained, with personal development, spirituality ever since I was 12 years old. Again, I rarely talk about this, and I've explored, I guess, the knowledge that's been collected from various religions. I've studied many spiritual texts, many religious texts. I've studied plenty of things, and always try to find ways how I can apply that to my own life. Because I think the grand pillars really of truly spirituality is being able, I guess, to quieten the mind, to be able to be in the present, so that when you look at something or someone, that there's no impulses just triggering old memories of yours, that you're basically able to literally physically be really in the present, because I think most people live in the past 90% of the time. And beyond that, being able to really become a master of your own mind, being able to conquer any kind of emotions or experiences and all the kind of stuff, which is something most people truly struggle with. And that's why I would like to call this series Mental Recode, because I truly believe that we can program our minds, that we can program ourselves and really become king of our own bodies and minds, rather than what most people are, be slaves to our subconscious. And that is what I'm going to tackle in this series. And you see, I've already spread myself pretty far with my personal brand, whether it's investing and trading, whether it's the future, tech, and all that kind of stuff. So, Felix, why the hell are you getting into spirituality and personal development and all that kind of stuff? You see, it really all ties together, because the more I record Dawn of Man videos, the more I realize is that the future and the success of our future, the survival of species and all that, is so closely tied to a shift in mindset. It's so closely tied to us, really digging out the good in ourselves, digging out the control, where we're able to control ourselves rather than fall victim to our emotions, fall victim to our impulses and all of that, because that exactly is what can and more than likely will drive us to ruin. Whether it's already 2018, whether it's a crazy exec that might abuse the power of information that they have, or whether it's just some kid that decides to shoot up a school. Everything is so closely tied to our minds, and I can spend all this time for the next few years talking about technology, but I think technology is only one part of the equation. The other part, which is just as big and just as important, if not more important, is the mindset and how we have control over ourselves, because that will determine how we use the technology. Because at the end of the day, the technology is simply an inanimate tool. and it is in our hands how we use it. And while I might not be able to, of course, help everybody, take conscious control of themselves, and I'm no master, I'm no guru, I'm so far away from it. I'm still learning every single day, and there's many times when I know I get thrown off track. However, I have had the benefit of now, for over a decade, being able to practice, what I've learned, and it has truly helped me, be more present, accomplish a lot of things at a young age, and just from the close friends that I have that that really have opened themselves up, learned that I've a lot better emotional control than most people my age. And regardless, I'm still a lifelong learner, but I want to share what I've learned so far. And I think if we have that mindset shift, if I'm able to help however many subscribers are watching this right now, how many people will be seeing this in the future, will already have made an impact. Because as I said with the Dawn of Man series, my goal isn't to be YouTube famous, get millions of views. My goal really is to help an elite crew of people, the people that already watch us now, that care, that have big goals, that have big dreams, and that see that shift in the future. And with the Dawn of Man series, I give them the information of where we're likely heading. Give them the heads up, give them that foresight, and challenge their thinking. We're like, okay, so if this is where the world's going, this is how I'm going to integrate myself into it. And then this series, Mental Recode, will be all about, helping you achieve that. So in Dawn of Man, you find out where you're going, and then with Mental Recode, I can help you, all along that path. See, things will be thrown your way. You have that goal, you have the things you want to accomplish, you have those grand visions. But every single day, mundane things get thrown at us, whether it's things with our families, whether it's things in our personal lives, whether it's just your own biggest enemy, right up there, your mind, playing tricks with you. So this is what it's going to be about, and I think it could not be any more relevant than, in today's day and age, because the more disconnected we are, be it with social media and all the things that are going on, the more important it is that at least we're connected with ourselves. So I want to hear from you what you want to learn about. I've covered many subjects. I've got over 600 pages worth of notes. So probably if there's something you want me to talk about, I probably have some solutions for you. Whether it's, getting that laser focus, learning how to really be in the present, or perhaps, how do you, stay practically motivated? Because there's so much, just believe in yourself and all that kind of stuff. But how do you truly stay motivated and take goals from point A to point B, even if they seem so far apart? Or perhaps, how do you confront some old experiences you've made? How do you overcome emotions and all that kind of stuff, where you can move from subconscious living, the kind of mental slave living, to going to be conscious. Okay, so leave a comment right now of what you want to learn more about, what you want to more dive deeper into, and I'll be making a video about it. Now, for next week, I'll be talking a lot about how to be more in the present. I truly believe that most people spend 90% of their day living in the past. And when I say living in the past, it's because we're everywhere surrounded by impulses. So, and whether it's the past or an unknown future where we daydream, every single time, whether you're driving the car, whether you're taking a shower, whether you're reading, think about this, and this used to happen to me so much. When I'm reading something, and I'm reading a couple lines, and some part of that line triggers something on my mind. I'm thinking of either past memory or something I have to do or something like that, and all of a sudden you find yourself elsewhere. And then maybe a few minutes pass, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, whoa, yeah, no, where did my mind go? I'm right back here. So this week, what I want you to do is keep a tally. Keep a tally of how many times you catch yourself drifting off. And after that, next week, I'll give you some practical, steps of how you can gain an increased sense of presence, how you can get that laser focus to truly, get more things done. Because this is something people ask me all the time, how do you get all these things done? And it's not, most people, in the self-help section, they just give you, oh, you just gotta stay focused, you gotta hustle. And that sounds great. But then, when you actually catch yourself in those situations and you ask, you're like, damn it, why does my mind keep drifting? Why is it that, I can't accomplish all these things while some others are? So there's some very simple technical ways to do it. And that's why I like to call this series, Mental Recode. It's really very practical. It's like practical spirituality. It's not about, some, orienting yourself after the stars and all that kind of stuff, because it sounds great and maybe there's some placebo effect in it. but I think that's some higher layer. You know, before you get to that, there's so much other stuff you need to go through, which most people don't. So let's focus on that first. Let's focus on those practical steps you can do. Those practical steps that will get you results literally the same day you apply them. All right. So this week, leave a comment of what you want me to talk about, and secondly, keep a tally at least for one day, and catch yourself on all the different times where your mind drifts. And the next week, I'll provide you some practical steps on how to take control. All right, I'll see you then.